Hey, everybody. Welcome to post-Thanksgiving breakfast all day. It is a breakfast of turkey, if you are like most households. I'm Alonso with Matt and Christy. And just the Christmas season has officially begun. This is not a Zoom backdrop. This is my actual apartment.
It's very fancy. It looks really nice. For those of you listening to Alonso's on the podcast here, he's got a really sweet, what is it, Alonso? It's like this really minimalist kind of silver sparkly tree.
It's a vintage 6-foot aluminum tree. But yeah, it's very much of it's the kind of tree that Charlie Brown turned down. But I'm a big fan of them, and it's the branches stick out and are spaced enough in a way they really show off the ornaments. Which, because we're kind of backlit here, you really can't see. But if you go to Dave and I have an Instagram that is exclusively for our holiday stuff called DXAX Tree. And you can see it all there.
I don't think I ever even knew that.
Oh, well, check it out.
DXAX tree?
Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
Yes, and then over your other shoulder I realize that's tinsel, but it does look like a tinseled boa.
Well, it's a long
garland.
Right.
Yeah, it'll be going on the bookshelves.
I'm disappointed you're not wearing that, Alonso.
Well, I didn't have my number ready to go.
He had it on earlier for vacuuming around the house.
Exactly. Yes. Took the pearls off too.
Just to feel special. Okay, so let's begin with news. Of course, the most important news of the week is the fact that Williams-Sonoma is now offering Baby Yoda cookies. If you too want the blue macaroons that Baby Yoda used the Force to grab.
Macarons.
Macarons, I'm sorry. They're called Nevarro Nummies, and they are fucking expensive, you guys. They are $49.95 for a dozen.
Well, Williams-Sonoma is not known for its cheap anything, but yeah, that's kind of bananas.
Nevarro Nummies. They're really cute.
That's over $3 a cookie.
That's good math right there. That's $3 a cookie. That's very expensive.
No, that's
small.
$4 a cookie.
They're small. Little blue cookies.
Look, Williams-Sonoma has been selling Star Wars like Le Creuset items and Star Wars C-3PO pancake molds, whatever, for years. So they know precisely what side their bread is buttered on. Y'all have proven yourselves that you will shell out for this stuff. So yeah, buy our blue cookies.
We'll talk about The Mandalorian later on in our Patreon, of course, but it was a very eventful episode with lots of information and lots of connectedness to the whole universe. I jumped ahead a little bit, though. We should talk really fast about how Thanksgiving was. What did you guys do?
Dave made a fabulous meal. We had one friend over who stayed on the balcony. And in fact, because he's currently working in TV production and exposed to other folks, he wore a mask and a face shield. And during the dinner portion, closed the sliding glass door so he could take his mask off to eat. So it was distanced, but still lovely to hang out with our friend.
Wow.
What about you?
Like a conveyor belt to bring the food out to him, like a grabber?
He would walk to the far end of the balcony. Dave would put the food on the table, walk away, and then the guy would come back and sit
He would scamper away, go.
Exactly.
Precious.
We have it down to a science here, people.
I'm glad you saw a person in real life, though. That's nice.
Yes.
I was home with Nick. Chris had to work, as is so often the case when you work in news. Someone's got to go put news out. So, for many years before we had a kid, we both worked on Thanksgiving and Christmas. So it's not that big of a deal. But he worked and they had food catered for them. And then I just ordered takeout for me and Nick, and we were in pain. It was awesome. Turkey stuffing. We have leftovers right now. The sound you hear is a microwave. Microwaving leftovers for lunch. So we just hung out and we watched Soul, which we'll talk about in a few weeks when Soul comes out.
Yeah, I have not gotten a link yet, but I'm not fancy like you, I guess.
I'm not fancy. I don't know why I got it, but
yeah, I have a link.
Go look in your queue.
Then.
Go look in your Disney queue.
Oh, that's true. I could, but usually they email me to tell me what's happening in my queue. What about you, Matt? What did you guys do?
It was just the three of us, or four, counting Sabrina. We had tri-tip. Didn't bother with turkey, and very, very cheesy mashed potatoes. With you make the mashed potatoes with a block of cream cheese and sour cream, and then set it overnight, and then put it back in the oven the next day. And then in the last 10 minutes, put a bunch of cheddar cheese on top. It was great. Yeah, it was really good.
Could you feel your arteries clogging as you ate it?
Yeah, but what softens that up is the rum. No, it was fine. I watched a bunch of stuff yesterday. for today's show, and pretty much took it easy. And then the big thing today was we were supposed to have it earlier in the week, but Sabrina got her wheels today. She has been very awkwardly mobile. Her legs have been in bad shape. She's got a growth inside her spinal column that's like causing problems on the nerve. And so she'd been on prednisone, which helps put the swelling down, but then it makes her weaker. And so we got wheels. And so we just got them this morning. And so she's been scampering around.
Is she like taking a test drive down the street with your wheels?
Yeah, except that the problem is the wheels, the wheelbase is as wide as she is long. So, so now she's got an extra like 8 or 9 inches on each side. And so, at least the first test drive, she was banging into things left and right because she's
recalculating.
She's recalculating. But now we can take her for walks. For those of you that may have seen on my Instagram, she's in a pen most of the day and then, screams bloody murder when it's time to be fed because she can't go walk around. But she's doing well. So that's the thing that I think we're most thankful for, so to speak.
It's a Thanksgiving miracle.
Nice.
Cute. Post a picture of her with her wheels. Yes. Are you guys going to shop online today? Do you care?
I did most of my Christmas shopping already, and everything that it's like, okay, for example, I just saw. Have you guys seen the new Pumas? I never knew Pumas. The new Pumas that are elf themed. They're green, yellow, and black, and they have there's like the back of one of them. There's a little image of like syrup going on spaghetti. They're having a huge sale at Puma.com on most items, but the elf shoes were not one of the most items. So I was like, forget it.
Oh, it's your splurge. Treat yourself.
Well, there's the elf Pumas, and then Nike has these shoes that have this sort of like kind of red snowflake Fair Isle ugly sweater pattern on part of the shoe. So I'm probably not going to get either one of them, but it's just kind of fascinating how this stuff bleaches out into the culture slowly but surely.
You were on the front end of all of this, Alonso.
Yeah, I am planning this weekend to put up Christmas lights in the house because now we have a house. So, of course, I get to put up Christmas lights. So that'll be fun.
Nice. So speaking of Christmas decorations, on November 30th, which is in a few days from now, I think it's Monday, is the official preview of the White House Christmas decor, and Melania will not be there. Right? When Melania is like, who gives a fuck about Christmas? And so she is not going to go.
Well, that's the thing. After Who Gives a Fuck About Christmas comes out publicly, you really can't then show and be like, look, everybody, Christmas, my favorite. So probably
I get it now.
Yeah, probably just as well, given how much they're like already half mentally checked out of that job anyway.
But it was funny that the news came out from the office of the First Lady. Like her office is still putting it up. Like,
true.
Maybe it should be like Groundskeeper Willie's Christmas at the White House, like somebody else doing it, right?
When the day comes that we do have a female POTUS, we're definitely going to have to re-examine a lot of what is just presumed to be like the First Lady's job, because
the first man's Christmas extravaganza, and it's like, beer and bowling in the basement.
I was going to say, it's like you get like a neon Miller Lite sign with like a little snowfall on it or something. Yeah, no, I think, that a lot of this stuff is very gendered in a dumb way.
It's very archaic.
Yeah.
As we're talking about the idiots in the office and the White House, Christy, is one of your stories about the Thanksgiving speech?
The Thanksgiving speech with the phone call he made last night?
From the president at his kids' table?
Desk?
At the kids' table.
So
that's a real thing. I thought that was a meme. Okay.
No, it's a real thing. So last night when it was like 1:16 a.m. in Bahrain, the president did the traditional annual let's call the troops and wish them a nice Thanksgiving, and it's a perfunctory, customary element of the gig.
Yeah.
But he did it at what ended up being like a small little low tiny desk with like a low little chair, and he was like by himself, like surrounded by this really garish dark green carpet, and then to the side of him was an undecorated Christmas tree.
Right.
And so people have been inserting him at the desk into like different memes.
Yeah, but they basically, it was a little kid desk that somehow had a presidential logo.
Yeah, so they put the big seal on it, right, on this shitty little desk where it doesn't have it's this terrible like side table, right? It's
Here's the thing, though, as somebody pointed out on Twitter, I can't recall who. Presidents for decades have used a desk that size to do signings, and what looks different here is that people are usually surrounding him. Usually you've got like a bunch of people and that fills out the space. But the fact that he was like isolated, like up against a wall with this big swath of ugly carpet in front of him, all sort of highlighted the fact that this desk is small. And also from one shot from the side, like he looks really heavy and it looks like he's got diapers bunching up around his
He probably
hips.
does.
Well, he probably does, because there are a lot of photos that would suggest that he is wearing adult diapers. So Diaper Dawn was a trending item. Hashtag Diaper Dawn.
Wow.
One of the things I saw was somebody, it was a joke along the lines of, can't wait to see NPR's next Tiny Desk concert.
Yeah, it's bad. So yes, he's losing lawsuits left and right. He's like 1 for 39 on lawsuits, and basically the judges are just like eviscerating him. Like, how dare you come to me with this nonsense with no proof?
His thing now is, well, if Joe Biden wins the Electoral College, then I guess I'll step down, which I guess he thinks that there's some like 3-dimensional chess move here that he's going to somehow manipulate the Electoral College. I don't know.
Anyway, it's troubling. And I guess this is his attempt at conceding without actually conceding.
Yeah.
So who knows? Something that affects us here, closer to home now. LA County restaurants. Yeah, LA County restaurants closed Wednesday night at 10 p.m. for at least 3 weeks. They are only going to be open for takeout and delivery. So we're sort of getting back to what things were like in the early days of COVID, March, April, when restaurants were open and just sort of, barely hanging on. And it has to happen. Certainly, my heart breaks for all these businesses that have now gone through a couple of cycles of like opening and closing and opening and closing, and spending the money to build out like outdoor seating. And
right.
I mean, down here especially, like a lot of people have like gone into the parking row to build out outdoor seating, and like it can't be cheap. And I feel it has to happen because people are dumb. People can't be trusted to like behave themselves. My heart breaks for all these businesses.
I'm hearing Ventura County is not closing their restaurants. I saw a headline about this. I haven't dug in enough to know, but that's apparently their stance at the moment. I don't know.
Pasadena City Council voted to stay open. So
all I can say is, yes, my heart breaks for those people who are going to be out of work and struggling even more to get by.
Whom the government should be supporting.
But, it's a fucking great thing that we don't have a social safety net that takes care of the populace so that they can stay home and nip a pandemic in the bud. Thank God we're not giving money out to people, because that would be socialism. And that,
so apparently Eric Clapton and Van Morrison are doing an anti-lockdown song.
This is on my list. Yes.
Sorry.
This is like the last thing on my list. So I'm glad we can get to it now. It's all of a piece. Eric Clapton and Van Morrison recorded an anti-lockdown song called "Stand and Deliver." Stand and deliver.
Stand and deliver viruses? What are we talking about?
It comes out December 4th. Van Morrison's done a bunch of songs already opposing the lockdown in the UK. The money that they make from it will go to support musicians who are, struggling like so many industries are, because they can't play live shows, and the Troubadour here in LA, like classic legendary live music venue, is in desperate need. Like all these small places, again, it's all of a piece. But yeah, they're like, we got to get back into these small concert venues
and
Yay!
Breathe on each other. Yeah,
Yay!
look, I admire the charity, but sheesh, the messaging of this music couldn't be worse.
Yes. That is there. What else do I have for you? I have Santa Con was canceled. Alonso, do you know about this?
Yes, and that I'm for the cancellation of that thing. So
because Santa Con is not what it sounds like. It's not like you go to like a convention center and you have Santa related paraphernalia.
Yeah,
it's like a bunch of assholes dressed up like Santa Claus
getting fucking drunk. Yeah,
right. Like the first time Santa Con happened was 20 years ago was kind of cute, right? Like, oh, a bunch of people like. Rabble rousing as drunken Santas. All right, that's funny. But then as the years have gone by, it's a little like, okay, guys,
we're gonna do this every year. Yeah.
Like, oh, come on.
And it's a fundraiser for charity, but it does get rowdy. This takes place in New York City, and they can't have people crowding into bars dressed like Santa. So.
I will say, if you want something that sounds like what you were describing as something that you would want it to be, Christmas Con, which I attended last year and had a really great time at, is happening virtually this year. I believe it's this coming week. I believe it's the first 2 weekends in December, and they will be. I think they might have some virtual Santa visits, but there's going to be a lot of virtual opportunities for people who are fans of, especially like the Hallmark and Lifetime movies, to see your favorite stars. There will be panels. There will be you can order autographs. I think you can purchase personal short Zoom sessions. So yeah, Google Christmas Con 2020, or I think it's That's For Entertainment is the group that puts it on. It's a lot of fun. I had a blast last year. I hope we can all get together in New Jersey next year and do it again. But in the meantime, if you were missing out on Christmas Con, there is a virtual version this year.
Do you learn how to make fake snow in your own home?
Oh, they should be there. That should be a panel. There should be seminars.
Do you know what it is though? You know what they use?
What?
It's styrofoam.
Oh.
Styrofoam.
Yeah.
Like little like packaging peanuts that are put into like a shredder and then and then put out so that it looks like it's gently falling.
I think there's various versions, because I know some are sort of like foam based, whether it's like soap bubbles or like the kind of stuff that you would see in a fire extinguisher,
right. Or sometimes it's like dry cleaner bags that have been shredded up too.
Oh, I don't know about that one.
Interesting. Also canceled this weekend is the USC Colorado game because a bunch of USC players have COVID. I don't know how football in any form is still going on, because they're not taking precautions, and like all these big schools. I know it's a shitload of money that it generates in terms of what.
I just want to be clear that the sport that we have known for years eventually kills some of its players because of multiple concussions, and we're surprised that a little thing like a disease doesn't stop them either. There's
just so much money for these universities. when your coaches at your SEC schools are making like $8-10 million a year. Yep. So USC is supposed to play Colorado on Saturday. That's been canceled. So Colorado's not going to go down the coast to go play San Diego State. So that's another thing that has been canceled. Grammy nominations came out this week. Do you guys care?
No.
Super.
No,
although
I'm with
Cats got a nomination though.
Cats, like the movie Cats?
Yes. The new song that was written by Taylor Swift and Andrew Lloyd Webber, it got nominated for Best Song from a Movie.
Oh,
no, I'm with The Weeknd. And was it Drake who also came out and said that maybe it's time to move on after The Weeknd didn't get any nominations for his big album this year?
The Weeknd didn't get any, and then Fiona Apple's long anticipated album did not get nominated.
Do people still take the Grammys seriously? Because all I feel like I ever hear about is people. Well, yeah, exactly. It's always the thing that you point to, the year of the Beatles, they gave it to Volare, or whatever. It has this history of Jethro Tull winning the first medal. People are always pointing to when they get it wrong. So I'm thinking then do we care when they get it right, or is the whole thing just kind of like a glorified circle jerk? I don't know. I don't follow music enough to really have an opinion one way or the other. So I'm just curious.
I think it's only important as part of your EGOT.
There is that. Yes.
You got to have a G. You can't spell EGOT.
Yeah.
Without Grammy.
We know enough about the Oscars to know what their flaws are, but we're not as versed in the Grammys, I guess.
There's going to be a Grinch musical.
Yes, there is. I saw Matthew Morrison on the Macy's Day Parade promoting it, and I don't know.
It looks painful. December 9th on NBC. Is it one of those live ones like they did with Grease and The Sound of Music? Okay.
Yeah, and A Christmas Story, let's not forget.
Oh, okay. So even you are not excited about this, it sounds
not particularly, no. I just, based on that one number they showed during the parade and Matthew Morrison's Grinch makeup, I mean, I'm tuning in. I need to know, but ooh boy.
Yes. No, thank you. I agree. Also coming out, Who Boy, is another Boss Baby movie. The Boss Baby Family Business comes out March 2021, starring James Marsden and Amy Sedaris. I mean, that would be, you know, a sequel to the Oscar-nominated Boss Baby for all of eternity.
Oh, brother. Yikes.
Also, the trailer for Prom came out. The Prom trailer. Did you guys see this?
Have not watched.
Do you know what it is?
I do.
Yeah.
It's
based on the Broadway musical.
Yes, big Ryan Murphy directed extravaganza with
all-star cast.
Andrew Rannells, Meryl Streep, Nicole Kidman,
cast of dozens.
Kerry Washington,
the ever-present James Corden, and my friend Kevin Chamberlain, 3-time Tony nominee.
Oh, so I mean, it just looks cheesy and desperate and straining. Maybe the actual movie will be fun. It just looks like eager, like super, like annoyingly eager.
You know, I'm wondering if we're going to look back at the Ryan Murphy Netflix contract as just a general bad idea all around. Just
because it also brought us Boys in the Band
and Hollywood. I haven't been watching the campaign, the candidate, the high school election.
Oh, I don't know.
That political satire thing. But yeah, it's not been great so far.
Diego Maradona died at age 60.
And I know who he is.
Who is he?
He's a legendary Argentine soccer player. I know this because I spent the summer of 1982 in Spain when the World Cup was happening there, and he was all anybody was talking about. And I attended the finals that year.
Oh. That's cool. How'd you get to do that?
I had we had family friends who worked for like the Bank of Madrid or something and managed to get these tickets. And so I went, and it is a running joke in my family that like my 3 brothers, who are all way more into sports than I am, were all watching on TV at home in Atlanta. And at one point somebody said, of all of us who could be there in person.
So you were like 15?
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, the ball is there. And now
soccer's pretty easy to figure out. It's not like you know, baseball with all its rules and stuff.
You know, for people who haven't, whoever, if you're not familiar, look up that legendary goal of his. I think it's against England in one of the World Cups where he just like dribbles past 4 or 5 people and the goalie and shoots and scores. And it's amazing. Like it's one of those things that you don't even have to know much about soccer, but you can kind of tell that this guy's something special. And yeah, that's a great dude. Was amazing. I mean, he's held up next to Pele as you know, they both were considered the greatest to have ever played the game.
Yeah.
A girlfriend of mine who is from Argentina originally posted on Facebook about this and says, like, it is impossible to put into words what he has meant to Argentina. If you were not from here, you just could not possibly understand like what a god he is to us here, and like the enormous sense of pride we had for him. So he was only 60 years old.
Yeah, that was surprising to me. I had no idea he was so young.
Yes. Meghan Markle wrote a piece in the New York Times about a miscarriage that she suffered back in July. And like Chrissy Teigen, wanted to tell that story in order to destigmatize it and inspire women and couples and families to feel comfortable sharing this experience. They know it's so incredibly common, but also she wanted to remind people at this time when we are all going through so much, and it's been 9 months of this, to ask each other, are you okay? And that at one point, I guess, as she was preparing to move with Harry to you know, sort of decouple from the monarchy, a reporter asked her, are you okay? And she was so taken aback by that. She's like, thank you for asking that. Like, nobody has ever asked me that. And so it is a very specific story to her, but also sort of a more universal plea to people to like, just take a moment and check on people and ask them, are you okay? And maybe, you know, maybe you'll realize, oh, I'm not. I'm just kind of, you know, getting by every day. So
I love the sentiment. I have seen people online who are self-classified as introverts talk about how they feel they feel bothered by that question. Like they have to sort of be performatively like, no, I'm fine. And I don't know. I mean, I don't know what the correct answer is, but I'm good on her. Definitely for the idea of talking about this stuff. I mean, like there was a time not that long ago in this country where it was verboten for people to talk about having cancer. Where like that was just considered a taboo subject, and you just didn't bring it up.
You'd whisper it, cancer.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, there's still, you know, a bit of a mindset that like being sick is a moral failing in this country.
Yeah. But I think we've come a long way in terms of talking about cancer, certainly talking about mental illness in a way that is productive. And so, yeah, I absolutely. And this isn't exactly connected to that, but Scotland, I believe this week became the first country in the world to make sanitary products for women free for everybody.
Yay.
Which, you know, more countries should follow that lead.
I agree.
We don't even do that in our fucking prisons.
Oh, how do women get tampons in prison?
They often don't. That's a thing. Like there are groups that have been advocating about that, but a lot of times women are not like guaranteed access to sanitary products in prison, and that's just ridiculous.
Like, do you have to buy them at the same place where you would buy soda?
I don't
trade them
know
for cigarettes.
No, man. That's a beat. So what's what happened? Oh, is it Dave Chappelle this week has asked Netflix to pull episodes of Chappelle's show.
Netflix or Comedy Central?
Netflix.
Oh, I
Netflix.
thought it was okay. Sorry.
He was never paid.
Oh.
Apparently is what he was saying, that like whatever deal it was, I guess because they aired initially on Comedy Central.
Right.
And I guess now Netflix owns them. And whatever that transfer was, like somehow actually paying him for that got lost in the shuffle. And so he's like, take him down.
Given that Netflix is in the Dave Chappelle business, like that's where his new specials air, that's kind of shocking. Like, because I mean, so often, like for example, when Netflix last year did all the Orson Welles stuff, you know, for Other Side of the Wind and everything, and they suddenly started popping up other Welles stuff. I generally think that when you make a deal with Netflix, you're like, oh, and I want you guys to show this stuff as well. But if they're like currently profiting off of Chappelle's new material and then not paying him for his old stuff, like no one is safe.
It's weird.
Yeah, but it's separate deals though, right? Like the deal that they cut with him is for new material and new pieces going forward. And somebody else, probably some other department, was talking, you know, dealt with Paramount / Viacom to get the rights to show Chappelle show. And the two groups aren't talking to each other. And
I guess,
yeah.
But he would have some ownership stake in Chappelle's show, right? I mean, like, it wasn't like
it's his name.
Yeah, it wasn't just like, you know, they cast him as the lead. Like I don't know. I don't know the details.
Right.
It's based off our names. And then along those lines, Matt, you had a thing that you mentioned before we began.
Yeah. So author Alan Dean Foster, who is a prolific sci-fi writer, and has also written a lot of novelizations. He wrote, I think one of the first novelizations of Star Wars. He wrote Splinter of the Mind's Eye, which was like the first books, you know, that kind of was spun off of Star Wars. He's written, you know, novelizations of Alien and Aliens, and a bunch of stuff that was owned by Fox. And now that Disney owned Fox, they're not paying him royalties for the material he wrote for Fox. And they've kind of been stonewalling his lawyers. And one of the things that Disney's lawyers have claimed is, yeah, the company purchased the rights, but we are not beholden to the obligations of paying him. And it's like, dude, what? It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
And most of modern copyright laws that exist now is because of Disney, because they were so worried about Mickey Mouse falling into the public domain that they keep extending the time period by which items can be copyrighted in the first place. So fuck you, Disney.
Right. I mean, it's just not a good look, right? Like, especially for a guy like Foster, who isn't necessarily a household name, but you know, sci-fi fans are not quiet fans. And,
oh no.
Right. And
he's been in the trenches for decades. Yeah.
Yeah. That dude's been writing for, you know, I mean, Jesus, for decades and decades. I mean, 40, 50 years. And, you know, he's got cancer. His wife is terminally ill. And, you know, I think Disney has they're going to find out that they've shit the bed on this one, because they're going to get this huge backlash.
Yeah. Finally for you this week. I don't know if you guys noticed on Twitter this week, there was a clip making the rounds of a 2003 made-for-TV movie about Rudy Giuliani called Rudy, the Rudy Giuliani Story, appropriately enough, starring James Woods as Rudy Giuliani. And it's hilariously terrible. And I think it's Penelope Ann Miller who plays Donna Hanover. And they're walking on the beach and it's just cheesy.
Didn't he get an Emmy nomination for that?
Yikes. I don't know. Anyway, so I don't think I ever saw that. And I don't know that I want to watch it now, but it's out there for your consumption. James Woods as Rudy. It's like the snake eating its own tail. Very confusing.
There are no winners in a game of losers.
Later, when John Voight does the James Woods story, he can recreate the filming of that moment.
Matt, I think you have marquees. Right?
I do. So our first marquee is from Gabriel Campos, who writes, "Hello, you all. I'm Gabriel. I live in Petrópolis, Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. In my city, there are only 3 movie theaters, and one of them, the closest and worst, has returned to showing films about 3 weeks ago. O nome é Cinemax at Shopping Mercado Estacio, Market Station Shopping. As much as I want to go watch a movie in the theaters, I'm not going to because they aren't taking proper care with the chair distance and such. In the photo, you can see is the entrance to the shopping where the cinema is. And the movies are Convenção da Brujas, which is Witches Convention, or The Witches. That's the new Witches movie. Destrucio Final, Final Destruction, which is Greenland.
Yes,
Greenland. This is so Mutantes is actually short for Os Novos Mutantes, which is the New Mutants.
Yes.
Which sounds, you take Novos out and Os Mutantes.
I was going to say
terrific Brazilian band.
If it's a documentary about Os Mutantes, I would totally
right. That would be rad. But that's not the case. And then Ilha da Fantasia, aka
Fantasy Island.
Wow.
Nothing I'm really worth risking to go to the cinema to watch. I will send more pictures in the coming weeks. Take care there. I love you. Thanks for everything.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Gabriel. That was really awesome. Okay, next up. Geoff Swanson sent these last week and I didn't get to him. But he says, here in Minnesota, our governor has ordered stronger restrictions for the next month of holiday season. But that hasn't stopped the humor at the Parkway Theater in Minneapolis. So one side it says, dude, where's my mask? And on the other side, can't buy me PPE. Right. All right. Next up, we have a bunch of pictures from Levi T, who sent us some pictures from Budapest. He says some movie marquees for you from Budapest. First, this is the Toldi Cinema. It never displays poster on the outside, but has these 4 awesome light boxes. The panorama shot is his, and then somebody put together a group shot of these light boxes all as one really piece. Neat. Yeah, they're really nifty, stylish, kind of stylized pictures, right? The one all the way on the right is No Country for Old Men, and it's got that the oxygen tank. Cattle. The cattle.
Oh, the air, the cattle gun,
impact wrench thing. And then next up, he says the second is the art cinema, or I'm gonna really mess up the pronunciation of this. Mouvej Mozi. All the posters displayed are actual hand drawings, displayed out in chalk or on blackboards. He took some pictures, but there are glass reflections in them. But you can see this is for Tenet. That these are all kind of like handmade posters in these light boxes. And so for those listening at home, that's it's an hourglass, and somebody underneath it, somebody in the bottom half is wearing a mask and the top part is cracked.
It's John David Washington with a little oxygen mask on.
All right. Cool. This is made in Italy, the James Darcy film, and it's got a little picture of the little Italian villa, all kind of just drawn in chalk there. And then I don't know what movie Odd Terapia is.
In Therapy, maybe?
In Therapy. There you go. It's a guy with a bottle of wine and somebody in a robe not looking happy. Therapy. And then another picture of the Made in Italy, which we can see what looks like Levi T taking the picture right there closely, right? And then this cool kind of just what looks like an art film festival. Yeah, these are great pictures. He goes on to write here, the movie theaters have been open since late June, but very few new movies have opened that were not running in spring. Parasite, Corpus Christi, Bad Boys 3 are still screening. This is another picture. I don't know what movie this is, but it's this beautiful picture of a pistol on top of a book. It says Les Traducteurs. I don't know. My French is terrible. So,
the Translators?
The Translators? Okay.
That's what the title means in French.
Traducir to translate in Spanish.
Les Traducteurs.
Okay.
All right.
That's what I need. All right. Cool. So Stephen Hovlik sent this picture in from Tempe, Arizona. It's got the picture of Arnold from Terminator 2. It says, "We'll be back," closed for COVID-19. And then Tim Dillenberger sent us this kind of sad picture, actually. The Hopkins Cinema 6 Theater, he writes, in Hopkins, Minnesota, is closing for good due to financials with the pandemic. He used to work there as an usher. The picture he sent us is from his former boss, the general manager of the theater, and he enclosed an article about the theater closing. It's been open for decades, and it says, "Thank you, Hopkins, for the 24 years. They are permanently closed."
Hopkins, Minnesota is where the P.O. box for the Mystery Science Theater Info Club is / was. That's why I know about Hopkins, Minnesota.
And then TsarStepan sent this picture. Here's the marquee for the Cosmo Theater in Merrill, Washington. Just don't mind the giant spiders. So I assume that this is a movie still, but I couldn't quite identify what it was, but something about giant spiders, because this looks like it's from part of a movie. So
Eight-legged freaks, perhaps?
The car looks too new for that.
Oh, okay.
But who knows? So TsarStepan, feel free to tell us what that was, or somebody else that's watching.
You have stumped the band.
You stumped the band. But that's it for this week in Marquee. So thank you for sending those in, guys. And we'll have more to come. I picked up a few, but I didn't get them ready in time, so I'll have them next week. Some fun ones I came across.
Cool.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. And thanks for watching this video. Like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us at BeFastAllDay on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/BeFastAllDay. The Mandalorian is revving up in a crazy way. And we're also looking at The Queen's Gambit on Netflix and lots more fun stuff coming up in the weeks to come. So, as always, we appreciate you. Have a good week. Take care of yourselves and each other, and we'll see you next time. Bye.